the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
If you're tired of losing money when the stock market goes down, then feel you're not making enough when it goes back up, take an investment class at Online Trading Academy. For 2 decades, Online Trading Academy has taught over 200,000 students how to time the markets, how to pick the right stocks, how to limit risk, and how money is made in up, sideways, and down markets. All instructors are certified, currently trade, and profitable. They show you what they do every day with stocks, options, futures, forex, and now Bitcoin. So if you're tired of losing money when the market goes down, then feel you're not making enough when it finally goes back up, call now for a pair of tickets to a free sample half-day class in Broward or Palm Beach and see for yourself how educated investors make trades. Online Trading Academy, the leader in investment education. Call 954-668-2510. 954-668-2510. 954-668-2510.
Talk here, talk there. Talk 1470 AM and 95.3 FM, the Health and Wealth Radio Network. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier, and I want to welcome you to Comm-Unity Conversations on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. This show is about you. I want to hear your trials and triumphs, challenges and victories, and how you overcome obstacles every day in our dynamic industry. All callers are welcome to join Community Conversations. This is where we'll discuss all things in common. We'll discuss managers, directors, vendors, and owners. Let's elevate the conversation. Raise the bar. Start here, now. Hello, and welcome to Community Conversations with Tanoa. I am your host, Tanoa Lynn Poirier. Happy Friday. Holy cow, we made it. It has been quite a week. I say that every week, but I mean it every week. I don't know. It must be the moon, the blue moon, the blood moon. I don't know, but welcome. Sit back, relax. We're going to spend the next 28 or so minutes together. I've got a special treat for you today. I don't have a guest. I have a co-host today. Joining me is Angie Spoto. Hey, Angie.
Hey, Lynn.
I want to tell you a little bit about Angie. Angie Spoto has been kind of my right hand. I said recently, right hand man, left hand person, left foot, right foot. She has been in my corner since the beginning of starting this business. We've been through quite a ride, but through all my crazy requests and antics, and from starting the business to writing the book to doing blogs and then the radio show, it sounds crazy to her, but there's very little that I say that she just doesn't say, okay, I guess we're just going to do this together, and we do, and I couldn't do it without her. So thanks for having my back.
You're more than welcome.
So we are going to talk about today the subject of, is condo life for you? And I'm asking that question because the couple of weeks I've had where I show up and I go, whoa, what a week, have been based on experiences managing condos. And I want to kind of give some cons to managing condos. And then I want to end, as usual, on a positive note, because I think that there are lots of benefits to owning a condominium. But it really does start with understanding what your role and responsibilities are in a condo community. But I want to give you a few statistics as a reminder. Now, common interest communities, HOAs, condominiums, and co-ops, and the co-ops represent a very small percentage, 3 to 4% of common interest communities. I saw a statistic, and I have some information here from Community Association Institute. 69 million people live in community associations, and that is roughly 45% of those are HOAs, 40 to 45% are condominiums, and the balance is co-ops. That represents a lot of people. Now, if you can imagine, and we keep it in kind of a concentric circle, 69 million people and their families. and all of the industries that support common interest communities, landscapers, roofers, painters, plumbers, electricians, engineers, the list goes on and on. So then you factor in that number, then you take that concentric circle out a little bit more, and the people that support that community are grocery stores and shops and delivery people, and you go out from there. Now everyone orders something online, right? So all of the people that support community associations, now we're probably in the 150 to $200 million 200 million people range. And I think that's conservative,
Probably.
right? So this is not a small industry. And if you imagine all of the activity around real estate in the country, a lot of those homes and condominiums are purchased in community associations. I'm a community association manager. Angie's a community association manager. And so let's just start with that basis. It continues to grow. In the 70s is kind of when this started. There were 10,000 or so community associations in 1970. The statistics from 2016, because 2017 data is not in, there were very close to 350,000 community associations in the country. Canada, Dubai, Australia, lots of other places are getting in on this community association because there are benefits. But we're going to start with
The cons.
the cons. Because recently, and even today, I had an owner who was quite upset because we are in annual meeting and election season. We all know what that means. That means that there's going to be some board turnover. That means that people are getting their annual meeting and election packets so that they can choose their candidates. Well, if you don't own in a community association, very often, and I would say probably all the time, based on your documents, you can't vote. You can name someone as your proxy, but they can't vote. They can't receive a packet because membership in the association requires ownership in the community. And this person was not an owner, and she was upset because she wanted the packet, and I declined. We go through this every year. And she kind of hung up on me because she was upset. But I would say the biggest impediment to kind of a successful relationship, would you agree, Angie, is that people neglect to read their documents.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So if they don't read their documents, there's always a nasty surprise around the corner because they're like, well, I didn't know, and how come you didn't tell me? And I'm going to tell you this. And I would say that realtors, I'm also a realtor, could go a long way to helping people understand what living in a condominium is like. HOAs have a little more latitude.
Yes.
But you still are not, you substitute some liberties, or actually you forfeit some liberties as a homeowner, but what you gain may be beneficial. So if you're thinking about buying a condominium, coming from a home, Angie came from a home where there was no association, then you moved to an association where you had a home,
Right.
and now she lives in a condominium.
Big change.
So, not to put you on the spot, Angie Spoto, CFO, Poye Enterprises, she's fabulous. If you could just give me a couple of kind of challenges to living in a condominium association.
Okay. The first and biggest challenge is that you just can't do what you want at all. You need to get permission for almost everything that you do.
Right.
So when you've been in a home, an independent home or within an association, you're used to doing things as you want. You
Right.
want to change this, you want to do that, you just do it. In a condo, the rules are very specific and very strict about what you can and can't do.
And very often the rules are strictly enforced because you, typically a condominium, although not necessarily, is in a mid-rise, low-rise, high-rise situation. There's very often some, your floor is someone's ceiling and your ceiling is someone's floor. And so everything that someone else does affects you. Now, I want to remind everyone, including association managers, that the structure of the building does not signify how it's organized under statute. So you could, and we do, have some communities that are single family detached homes that are actually condominiums. There are a few of them far between, but they actually do exist. There are townhomes that are attached and are condos, and there are townhomes that are attached that are HOAs.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily tell you, because you look at something how it's organized. It can absolutely be a condo, which means in that single family detached home, there are some really strict rules about what you can and cannot do. And people are surprised and horrified to learn that they may get turned down in terms of what they want to do inside their space, right?
Yes,
it's a shock.
can. And it is a shock. Or telling you what color shades or blinds or curtains you have to put up. And you're like, what? What do you mean? I can't do this. I can't do that.
Right.
And they do enforce it because they want the appearance to be uniform.
So conformity is the name of the game, right? Conformity in community associations allows for, and this is a benefit, and I'll bring this up again, but it kind of is a hedge against degradation of the neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. So conformity means that from the outside, they can absolutely tell you that you can have only white or off-white shades or curtains, right?
Exactly.
So it may not go with your decor, and you could have kind of a white or off-white shade or curtain on the inside and do something on the outside and do something on the inside that matches your decor. But what people see on the outside has to be uniform and conform to association rules. And there's not a thing in the world you can do about it. And if you kind of buck that trend, or you resist following that rule, then you'll get what's called a violation.
And a fine.
And maybe a fine.
Fine.
So if you get a violation and you don't comply, it could end in a fine or a suspension of your use rights.
Yes.
Which means that the pool you love, the tennis courts you love, the golf course you love, the association may, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm disclaiming that now, but there are rules in the statute that the board has the right to suspend your use of those elements for certain reasons, and very often it is because of a monetary obligation or a violation of the rules that is not cured. Mm-hmm. That's a hardship for people.
It is.
Yeah. And that is definitely a con.
And one of the cons are you can't park where you want. You only can park in your spot. And you're usually only given one permanent spot, and one you have to park somewhere else. And they enforce that. And if not, you're towed, and towing means dollars.
So did you hear that? And I just wanted to give you some background on Angie. She is a licensed community association manager, and she works for a management company, and she lives in a condominium. Right. So she has been a former board president. So she, like I do, has a fully faceted view of this industry, right? And she's currently living in, that's another con, is that you may just have one parking space and you may have more than 2 cars.
Or you could be limited to 2 cars.
Right.
And nobody realizes that because, again, nobody reads the docs to say, how many cars can I have? Can I have pets? Right. Can I do this or can I do that? And then they do it, and then they get a violation letter, and hello.
Right. So I am asking, if you are a realtor within the sound of my voice, if you would partner with community association managers and help your buyers recognize the restrictions that they're getting into. It is a terrible realization at the end when they realize they cannot alter their unit in a way that they need to, and they've moved into a unit that needs renovation right away, or they have not read the docs and they realize that they can't rent their unit for a couple of years.
Right, which is
very often in Florida, because people come to Florida for the winter, they don't want a lot of banging around and construction debris and dirt and chaos, that there is a construction season that you can't do anything. So you buy your home in October thinking that you're going to get started in November, renovating your unit, and you're hear from somebody like me, actually, you can't do that. And you are very unpleasantly surprised.
Right.
And I would say I'm putting lipstick on that particular pig because they're really mad.
They're really mad.
They're really mad. They may get some incorrect information about the use of amenities or what is available. Often I have had people come to a community that we manage where there are two communities close to each other. One has pool access, the other does not.
Right.
The community that does not have pool access was told by their realtor that, yes, it's for the whole community. It is not, and it is just because that is the way, it probably started out that way when the developer was building it, but it did not end up that way.
Right.
And that's a terrible thing to discover, that there's a pool, 500 feet from your door that you cannot
Use
access.
at all.
Right. So, what I'm saying is that, and we're going to end on a positive note, I promise, but there are lots of issues to consider when you live in a condominium or an HOA. And specifically, we are asking, is condo life for you? Because the restrictions that we have outlined will affect you. They will affect your quality of life, your happiness, your enjoyment. And we just want to make sure that we have this conversation. This show is about learning, growing, sharing, teaching other people kind of about what we have learned. And as community association managers, we kind of see the end when people are disappointed because they were not informed. And before we go to break, I just want to remind you that it is imperative, if you're moving to a community association, that you read your documents. We are about halfway through the show. It goes so fast. On the other side, I'm going to cheer up a little bit and tell you why I think condo life is for you. We'll see you back in about 2. See you after the break. Imagine having one place you can call for all your residential needs, whether it's housekeeping, repairs, remodeling, pet sitting, laundry, or anything else your heart desires. La Concierge Services is your answer. Our qualified staff is carefully chosen, experienced, licensed, and insured. They are prompt, professional, and courteous. La Concierge Services is honored to serve in South Florida's most exclusive communities. With La Concierge Services, you have a full-service, personal concierge. We would love the opportunity to earn your business. Call 561-819-2059 for more information. La Concierge Services, your personal concierge. Hello, listeners. It's Tanoa Lynn from Community Conversations. Did you know I authored a book called 365 Tips for Community Association Managers, Property Managers, and Property Owners? Yep, I did. The book is filled with little, bite-sized morsels that may help anyone working and living in any community. From working with difficult people to building consensus for big projects. There is something in it for everyone. 365 Tips is available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can also go online to hellotanoa.com. That's hello, Tanoa.com. Welcome back. This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier with Community Conversations. And I want to remind you that this show is about you. If you'd like to join the show, you can call us at 888-565-1470. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back. It's the first time Angie's been on this side, and so she sees all the sausages made here at the studio, and I'm so happy. Thank you again for coming.
You're welcome.
So before the break, we were talking about whether or not condo life is right for you. And I gave lots of examples about how difficult it can be, all of the challenges that you may face. But I want to end the second half on a positive note, because there are lots of positive things to being in a condo. And there's a reason that Angie chooses to live in a condominium. One of the biggest reasons is that you have access to lots of amazing amenities, right? You have a pool that somebody else takes care of. Mm-hmm. You have tennis courts and pickleball now, golf courses, on-site, right? Billiard room, card rooms.
Media rooms.
Right.
Libraries.
Right.
On premises.
Cafes on premises.
Yes.
And in many HOAs, Florida leads the nation in the amount of common interest communities or community associations with 49,000 communities in Florida. But in these communities, they have social activities that rival anything, right? So in the community that Angie and I actually worked for Angie. She was the board president in one of the communities, which is how we met many moons ago. But in these communities, they have Broadway talent. Would you not say Broadway caliber talent in these communities?
They try very hard to get the best for the price that they can afford.
Right. So they have shows,
movies.
They have movies, card games, lectures, fitness rooms with everything you can think of, from aerobics to yoga to whatever your heart desires, dance lessons. They have pottery and ceramics classes. Some people even have shooting clubs, right? Painting.
Golf club.
It's amazing. So these are the kinds of things that you are offered just as a membership in that community. There are very often no additional fees. You just sign up and participate in all of these activities, literally either sort of on the ground floor of your unit or in a clubhouse, which happens many times in HOAs. That is an amazing ability. They also often bring sort of health services. Mm-hmm. They'll do exams, bloodmobiles, bookmobiles, which is an amazing, that is just arranged by typically the management company, and that's kind of where I would come in. But they have offsite events where they take cruises and travel clubs, and it is endless, the kinds of things they do. There are also something, and you may remember Joan Berger from Bellagio Residents Association had something called the Sunshine Club, and the Sunshine Club is where neighbors help neighbors. And very often in some communities, people are alone, or they haven't made friends yet, and the Sunshine Committee will greet you when you are new with a basket and invite you to card games or whatever strikes your fancy. And when you're not well, they offer to run errands for you, pick up your medicines, bring you food. That kind of community spirit. It's kind of thing that happens in community associations. You make friends because they live close to you. You have almost on-site dog walkers, if you are allowed to have dogs, somebody to water your plants when you're away. House sitting, they're just your neighbor, no problem. We're happy to do it. And in the event of an emergency, particularly in condos, the association has a set of keys. They're required to have a set of keys in case of emergency, and somebody takes care of that for you, calls you and lets you know, so you're free to travel the world, and you can just come back and your place is safe and sound. If there is an emergency, you're contacted by the association. So you begin to see why someone would choose to live in a condominium. There are so many benefits. I wrote some of them down. Now, some buildings have what's called a concierge services, not la concierge, but concierge services, where they'll do everything from get your mail and bring it to you to ordering dinner reservations for you, or helping you pick out gifts for your children, or making reservations at a beach club. These concierge buildings cater to a discerning owner. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a cost to that. The monthly maintenance for a concierge building is a little pricey, but if you can afford it and that's what you want, it really is. It's kind of as good as it gets. Yes. Would you agree?
Definitely.
It's as good as it gets. So I didn't want to scare you and leave you with thinking that condo life is a downer, but I want you to be realistic about the expectations of living in a condominium, because there is a give and take. The other thing is I want to remind you is that very often communities are managed by professional management. So you have the ability to have your problems solved, and we endeavor to solve those problems, but you don't have to worry about watering the lawn, the pool, the tennis courts. If there's an issue, pest control.
Right.
You just, if something's not going well, or there's a light out, or you notice something looks a little off, you just go to the office or tell a board member, and it gets taken care of. That is so different than living in a single family home, as I do, and I don't live in an association, that every problem that comes up, you have to pay for it, you have to arrange it, you have to get the bids for your community. And so there is a give and take to living in a community. The other thing that I want you to remember is that you elect a board of directors to take care of the decision making for you. Now, when you read your documents, and I hope you will recognize that the board has a certain degree of authority to make decisions about what contractors you use, perhaps when there's a pest control issue, who they use, and it can extend to something as big as fumigation, which we've recently experienced, right?
So it was a joy.
Right, and it was, sorry, I've got hair. It was a little bit contentious, but we got through it. But the board is elected to serve the interest of the community. And if you are considering being a board member in this annual meeting and election season, just remember that you do serve the community, and any issues that are self-serving will become really obvious right away. Would you not agree?
You have to be willing, not only just to say you're serving, you need to be willing to put in the hours. Because usually when you have a board,
Right.
every board member has responsibility for one phase of the budget.
Right.
And it could be very numerous. So don't say, I don't have time for this and be on the board, because then you're doing a disservice to everybody.
Right. So don't volunteer if you don't want to do it. But if you want to volunteer to be on the board, it can be very rewarding. You have the ability to help preserve your community, and it's kind of giving back. And isn't that really what we all want to do? Many of people who live in these communities are captains of industry, and they've run very large companies. And you ran a very large corporation, multi-hundreds of millions of dollars. And she gives back to something called the Treasurers Group here. And she served as treasurer on some boards and as president. So there are lots of opportunities to give back, to enjoy living in a condominium, as long as you remember there's a kind of a give and take. Right? So read your documents. Understand that you have limitations, but also understand and remember all of the things you get to do, have, see, be in a condominium association. I hope you've learned something today. Angie, thank you for coming.
You're
my
welcome.
Co-host for the day. She's not a guest. She's my co-host today. And this was fun. Was it fun?
Yes, it was fun.
Yay! Have a great weekend. Be a blessing to somebody today. Thank you for joining me. We'll have another exciting show next week. I'll see you then. Bye. Been listening to Community Conversations with Tanoa Lynn Poirier. It is my honor to host this program, and I appreciate you listening. We have an exciting show planned for you next week, so mark your calendars and join me every Friday at 5 p.m. on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. We look forward to hearing from you, our listeners. It's all about learning, sharing, and teaching. We're all in this together. Until next time, be a blessing to someone and endeavor to persevere.